Hello and welcome to the Infinite Escape Room pubisode. This week we're coming hot off the back of our RPG special, the Bourne Kerfuffle, which, if you've not listened to, warning, spoilers ahead, hop back, it's in 2 very chunky parts. Hope you enjoy it. In this pubisode, we'll be doing a debrief from the RPG, talking about tabletop RPG mechanics in general, and sharing our media recommendations of the week, as well as, to be honest, being a little bit fuzzy after a whole day of beer, snacks, and rupagutting. Hello and welcome to the...
It's me, Whispering Bob Harris, introducing the Infinite Escape Room pub time.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, what's the
All right.
what's the pub called?
Where are we? Yeah.
The Time Gentleman.
Time Gentleman, please. Very good, yeah.
Okay, listeners, we are at the Time Gentleman. We have just concluded our RPG adventure for 2023. We have sat down for our definitely not first drink of the day. If anything, everybody's now
Seventh,
very
I
much
think,
on
for
there.
me.
Yeah, Dom's just polished off one actually as he said that. So, hello, I am Riggedy Diggedy Mike Collins, and I'm drinking a Corona with a slice of lime in it, because I'm posh. And I am joined by...
Hello, I'm Jamie, and as you might expect, on brand for me, I'm drinking a lovely English heritage mead that Mike has so kindly poured for me, and it is sweet, it is delicious, nothing finer than a good old bee puke.
Puke? Is it wee? Is it poo? What? I mean, I think it's all of the above.
I think it's the equivalent of like
A
you know when
secretion.
when you deodorize a lot and then you sweat a lot and then you get to that armpit smegma. I think that's
Bee snag. I don't
what
like any of the things you just said.
I don't
the
like what
white
you said.
the white
then.
crust that you can scrape off
smegma.
there.
Are you
Yeah.
trying to make mead more palatable to me? Right now, this sounds amazing.
That's what it is for the bees. I think.
The Infinite Escape Room does not endorse this statement.
I'm Anna, and very on brand for Jamie. I'm also
You're drinking a
some
bee's
up-
armpit
bee armpits,
smegma, apparently.
I'm so proud of you.
yeah, it's delicious, very nice. Is it English heritage? It is.
It is.
I thought it was National Trust. Was it?
Oh, it's the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
Some historical British institution.
Yeah, they protect land. And I'm drinking a Anna, can we get a Spanish pronunciation of this, please?
Cruz Campo.
It is a Spanish lager.
Scorchio.
This
It's
is
very nice.
See.
Hello, I'm.
Oh, I'm Dom.
Yeah, I'm going to say you didn't say your name. I thought I'll give him a minute.
I'm Dom.
Yeah. And I continue to be Tony. Having not had a drink for like nearly 4 months, I've now had several drinks, and I'm having a mead, which is the first time I've had mead. Someone said Jamie said it's like sherry without the horrible aftertaste. It also reminds me of like good dessert wine, like a Tokai or something like
Yeah.
that. It's got that very sweet,
very sweet.
It's lovely. It's very pleasant. Well
Very
done.
Moorish.
So this is you were a mead virgin until today.
I had never tasted the sweet
Wow, no,
sweet
that's-
meat of a bee.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'd eaten honey, but
I'm slowly bringing everybody around.
yeah, no, it's very delightful. It's very enjoyable. Good, well done.
So last week for you, but probably half an hour.
minutes ago. Yeah,
Yeah, 40 minutes ago for us, we've had a wee and a beer and a sit down and a chat. We have been all around my dining table, finishing.
all around my table.
We have been enjoying and adventuring in Dom's, I guess, kind of time heist RPG.
Yeah, I'll
The
take
Bourne
that.
Kerfuffle.
The Bourne Kerfuffle.
That's what I'm
Kerfuffle.
calling
Great
it.
name.
It was a
There we go.
sleeper agent nonsense, and I'm calling it the Bourne Kerfuffle.
That is excellent, yeah. Just only if Jason Bourne was shit.
Oh, I did actually have a
Covered
title
in
for
bees.
it.
What
what's
if
the title?
Jason Bourne
So-
had, instead of waking up on a boat and then running around, instead he'd been a dog photographer for years?
Or a divorced clown.
So the title, the title of my Google Doc was "Time for Fun." That's the official name of the adventure. Sleeper Agents: Time for Fun.
I like the Bourne Kerfuffle. I'm not going to lie.
The better. I'll be honest. It was just because I needed to call the document something.
Is there a Bourne? There's no Bourne Continuum, is there? Bourne Continuum. If you want
Give
to
them
get the fun.
5
It was
years,
much more of a
Yeah,
kerfuffle.
and they will have.
We'll have that.
They'll have a digitally de-aged.
Yeah.
Damon.
Yeah.
did Warner Brothers release the Bourne films? Because at the moment they seem really obsessed with like, hey, why don't we just mash together all of our properties? Let's do another Space Jam film, but instead of Michael Jordan or LeBron James, it's Jason Bourne in Tenet.
But we've just had the summer with Oppenheimer and Barbie, and obviously, you know, the success of Barbie should be that, hey, let people make more films that aren't they're original and aren't just a continuation of an existing franchise. And obviously
Barbie's an existing franchise. There are like 15 Barbie movies.
Oh, right. Yeah, but no, this is
You've not seen Barbie and the Nutcracker?
This is the first live action.
Actually,
fan.
I have, which is weird, but I've forgotten I have. I saw that one Christmas. I was drunk, and it was the only thing on. Yes, I've seen.
Was Barbie Nutcracker your wake word?
But my point was, what they're going to take away from it is let's make more Mattel films. So it'll be Hot Wheels.
And
next,
have you seen that Mattel have got? Is it Daniel Kaluuya doing it? I think a Barney film that's like Barney the dinosaur, but it's like millennial existential dread.
Oh God, yes.
Okay, I was going to say like Daniel Kaluuya is a fantastic actor.
He's very talented.
That sounds like
guy.
a good take.
That feels like Barney is a dinosaur.
I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be like millennials reckoning with their mortality through the medium of Barney the Purple.
Was Barney millennial though? I mean, I was too old for also
Barney was
too
the
English.
90s,
But...
younger millennials.
Yeah.
And also America.
Yeah.
Is he playing Barney though? Because that would be terrifying.
Or is he playing the person in Barney?
I don't know that he's. I think he's,
by which I mean the man wearing the costume,
the puppeteer,
not Barney's lover. I think he's writing and directing.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is cool. Like, good for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you remember him as Posh Kenneth in Skins?
No. Yeah, that was the first thing I knew him as.
Like,
the next thing I saw him in was Black Mirror.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. 15 million minutes.
Yeah, and then it was Get Out. And,
what a movie.
Then
the one about Fred Hampton, Judas and the Black
Marvel
Messiah.
movie I saw him.
He was in Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah, I know it was Teely from Psychoville. That's my first.
Yeah. Oh yes, that was good.
Really good. Yeah. Psychoville's fantastic.
And now he's going to be inside Barney.
Friend of the podcast.
Hey, Daniel, if you're listening, and we know that you are, obviously, reach out.
You got nothing else.
You've definitely got nothing better to do, like writing.
You're not just
writing.
The strikes are on. The writers and the actors' strikes are on. So what else are you going to do but listen to
this? Is unscripted.
That's. I was going to say, let's be very clear. I wrote this before the strike started. We're not getting paid to act. And also, we're not in America. So.
It's bold of you to assume that it's acting. That's very generous.
Yeah, we didn't stick to our character very much.
Role playing is either acting or fucking, let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
Two sides to role playing.
We're being paid in mead and beer and board.
Yes, that's true.
Oh, as in sleep. Yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry, I was just.
They're going to take my board.
I was just basically trying to slip in. I'm really fucking bored. Jesus Christ, Mike.
We can't have dinner now, please. Yes. Well, okay.
Let's say the RPG. So I guess quick recap of the RPG. Spoilers ahead, listeners, dear sweet handsome listeners. If you are listening before you listen to the RPG, scroll back. Have a couple of beers. It's going to help. It's there's a lot of it's giggling. A lot of it's giggling. And basically, we were sleeper agents. We were a series of misfit, very strange sleeper agents activated in a park by a pigeon. We then went to an address, bust some heads. Probably should have snuck around, but didn't.
Yeah, you went. I mean, I can start off the analysis there. Like, this was definitely written as a stealth adventure.
Yeah, I was going to say
you had guard costumes. You had so many ways of talking your way in. Like Miss Trustin had so many different options based on what you said, the way you could talk your way past her. So much pre-written, different conversation routes,
wasted. I leapt over her,
and instead you were just like, right. So we murder everybody, clear the building, then we get free reign, and we can just. Which, to be honest, is actually a lot of the way I do play Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, right, murder everybody. Yeah. Right, now I don't need to stealth anything. Here I go.
So, before we go into the deconstruction of what we could have done, what's everybody's gut reaction to it?
I thought it was fantastic.
Except for Dom.
I really like that system. We talked about this a little bit while we were all having a wee around the same toilet. Mike's house is really weird.
Don't cross the streams, guys.
My sink!
Where most people have a dining table, Mike's a giant porcelain trough, which is multi-use.
Absolute bargain.
We were talking about it a little bit. There's a couple of different systems that use a similar dice mechanic to this. Like, you look at the stuff that Grant Howard makes, like Honey Heist.
Derivative. Thank you for bringing that up.
I was going to say it's similar, but has
Legally
differences that make it feel very different to playing those games. Because something like Honey Heist, where you when you succeed, you have two stats, and when you succeed in one or fail in the other, your number goes up or down, and that changes the number that you're trying to hit. Whereas this, it's always 5 or above, but when you succeed, you get more dice. When you fail, you lose dice, or when you get hit, whatever it might be. And I'd love to sit down and do like the statistical analysis on how that changes the difficulty curve or the likelihood of succeeding and failing compared to something like Honey Heist or Blades in the Dark, which has got that similar dice pool feel to it. Because I've not heard of or played something like this where the number of dice that you have is so dynamic and tied to your success and failure. It's a lot more about like the circumstance, what's the position that you're in, that sort of thing. Whereas this was a lot more like, how well has it gone for you, or how badly has it gone for you?
Is this related to, because we spent probably a little bit too long a couple of months ago looking at
the
stats analysis, because I wrote up like some functions for like dice analysis.
So I'm an ideas man. That's basically all I am. When it comes down to actually the mechanics, I really suck. So I immediately got in touch with Michael and I said, I can't tell you any details about why I'm asking, but
well, actually, you got in touch with me first, and you said, can you help me with these numbers? And I said, we are married. Do you know who I am? Have you met me before?
So I tried the maths, and I realised that my equation was wrong somewhere because it just wasn't working. Like the percentages were not coming out correct. That I could just look at them and go, I've got something wrong in the maths here. And I went on to some GCSE and then AS level revision sites, but I didn't know what I was looking for was called. So I couldn't find out how to put together that equation. So I immediately got in touch with Mr. Mathhammer. And
what a great super
hammer of Milton Keynes.
he first put together a big old spreadsheet, and I said, "Great, that's the first one." So I've got 8 more questions. At which point he found an online calculator instead.
Yes, there are good dice table calculators out there for.
It was just the specific question of the thing of it being that you have to hit 5 or more. Because if you just want a certain number, what are the chances of this number, or what are the chances of this sum? Then any dice calculator will work, but
it's 5 or more with a pool of dice. That's
5 or more with a changing pool of dice, and working out at what point it becomes almost a dead cert, and at what point it's impossible. Because I hadn't settled on 5. I was trying to work out which number would be good to hit as well. I thought 4 that's too easy. That's a 50-50.
Yeah. And it was a binary, right? It's a success or fail. Because you look at something like the Forged in the Dark family of games, and that's 1 to 3 is a fail, 4, 5 mixed success. So you get where you want, but with a cost, and 6 is a clear success.
And just a reminder for listeners as well, the mechanic for this that we're referring to is that you had a pool of dice which started at 1, and for a check, for example, combat, evasion, skill check, that kind of thing, you're rolling a dice, 5 or more, success. Less than 5
on 1 or more dice.
On 1 or more,
another hard part of the calculation.
And that's the thing. And your pool of dice grows with majority successes. Your pool of dice shrinks as you take damage, or fuck up your special. But that's a whole different thing. So there's a nice kind of risk reward system going into trying stuff. Basically,
I could write this out for you in Python next time you want to figure this out.
That's great. Yeah, I know that Python isn't just a snake, but my coding began and ended in year 9 IT, where I was trying to do a
make a turtle go in a circle.
No, I managed that bit.
Okay, good job.
We actually did that in primary school because we had one of those programmable robots.
Nice.
So where you can put a pen in it, and so you've got to try and program it to write your name and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it was where we had a 5 entrance box junction, and you had to program the traffic lights.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as I managed it, and as soon as I'd done, I was like, great, programming's not for me. That was horrible.
Jamie, Anna, can we get your gut reactions?
I love the traits mechanic that you've got on here, because like I'm used to playing things like D&D where it has traits, but they're so long-winded and you forget to use them, and the DM's supposed to reward you if you play to your character, but it's such a faff and you end up just min-maxing anyway. But these, like for my character, Greg Dibbett, his traits were motor-mouthed, hairy and impulsive. Very easy to remember, very easy to do. And so it was great to just lean into those aspects straight off the bat, and just made the character just easier to roleplay immediately, which is great.
Yeah, I also thought that, and I thought it was good the way that you wrote the traits so that you couldn't, because I feel like, especially if you've played D&D quite a few times, it's quite easy to fall into the classes. You're like, oh, it might be a different setting, but I'm the barbarian of this setting, or I'm the rogue of this setting. But we ended up with divorce clown, smelly postman, just terrifying.
Well, this is I said a few times earlier on, like I've created this rogue, and then as we played I was like, oh no, I've created this like sort of luchador, like
whole crime.
Like it looks like a rogue but acts like a barbarian.
Yeah.
It's also very intelligent though, which plays against type for a barbarian.
Multi-classing. Yeah.
So I thought that made for some very interesting characters, and they weren't. I don't think any of them were heroes or particularly likable.
No, not at all.
Anti-heroes.
That's all down to my personal taste. Whenever I do play a trad game like Pathfinder or D&D, I always try and do the opposite of min-maxing. So I think my first D&D character was I built they were a druid by class, but I played them as a barbarian. So none of the stats worked for them. Yeah, essentially. Because I think that's far more interesting to do.
Yes.
And I don't like characters who are forced into being superheroes.
Well, this is the thing, though, isn't it? So, I mean, same for me, actually. The character creation was the character creation and generation is a real highlight for me in this system. I really like it. But the thing I really like about it is that what you're normally choosing in what I've chosen in other RPG systems and games I've played as well, you're normally choosing like, hey, what are you good at? What's your what's your strength? And you're like, I've got +1 to strength, and I'm good at lockpicking stuff. Whereas
some failures.
Well, this is the thing. It's like you've got your traits almost overwhelmingly kind of negatively kind of angled. Yeah. Or like there's a real kind of negative spin on a lot of them, which is good because interesting characters in drama are normally interesting because of their flaws, which I feel is often like, these days they're like, oh, we've got a cool kick-ass female heroine. You're like, cool, what's her fatal flaw? And they're like, she's really kick-ass. And you're like, I think you've forgotten how to make
too good.
Yeah. I think you're like, you've forgotten how to do a character.
What's your biggest failure? I care too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that. Yeah, I'd much rather see a very interesting female villain.
Yeah, or just somebody who's like a really interesting fuck up.
Yeah,
like that's I want to see like a terrible fuck ups.
Yeah, my friend was. I don't know if any of you. One of you might know the name of the show, but a friend of mine was telling me about a police drama she's been watching, and the protagonist is a police officer who's just terrible at a job and hates it throughout the entire series. And I just thought that's so great that she's not as in like terrible as in she's incompetent, but she's terrible in that she just doesn't
work ethic
for it.
Bad work ethic.
Well, have you seen The Guard, the movie The Guard?
Yes.
La Garda.
I love that.
It's fucking amazing, Jamie. It's on Netflix. Okay. Watch it. It's brilliant.
Very
Everybody.
We might be winning back some of our Irish listeners.
Yay! Ireland, I'm sorry.
In Bruges and Seven Samurais.
Yeah, it is an incredible movie. And here's a
McDonough
deeply
is
flawed
it?
character.
Martin McDonough, or is it the other McDonough?
I think it's Martin McDonough.
Because there's two of them, isn't there? One of them makes. They both.
He
make
wrote
movies.
In Bruges. It's the one who works with Brendan Gleeson.
Nice.
I think that's Martin McDonough.
One of the McDonoughs, isn't it?
It's one of the McDonoughs. I think it's Martin McDonough.
It's Anne McDonough. Actually, another thing that was good about the trade system, like you said, was at least I didn't choose them because of something that I think that my character would be good at or would be useful in the game. It just what sounded interesting.
Yeah, same.
Like you pick the cover life, okay, beekeeper, right, okay. And it just fleshed out the character. What was cool, what was fun, what was interesting about this guy. Not what could I use in battle, what could I use in a puzzle. And other thing I really liked about it is before we did this recording, I was a little bit trepidatious, like, okay, how are we going to learn this system and create characters and do a whole session in such a short space of time? But like we learned the mechanics of the game and made the characters in lightning fast time. This is such an easy game to pick up and just go with.
It really fits into that one-page ethos. I love that kind of game where you can sit down and have a session and play a whole story out in a single sitting is very pleasing.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, part of that is because I get really bored with characters and mechanics very quickly. So as a player, I think about what I want to play when I'm writing a game. It's like, I want to have fun creating my character. I want the character to be memorable. And then I just want to get into it and then it end before I'm sick of my character.
Well, it removes that stress as well, because like with systems like D&D or even Quest, actually, like there's definitely like a bit of onboarding to it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Quest is
much more
pretty low ramp,
like,
closer to this than D&D, but still. The idea is that you're going to play more than one session.
Exactly. And there's a small amount of kind of like cognitive burden to just kind of, you've got to assimilate a few ideas, you've got to assimilate a few traits and how they interact with the world and how you kind of do that. Whereas this, as you say, it's like 10, 20 minutes and you're like, okay, cool, bam, we're good to go.
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of...
Having said that, I did forget some of the rules to my own game. A couple of points there. Tony was just like, wait, does that not mean? I'm like, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, I think my first ever turn.
You internalized my rules better than I ever.
Yes, I've got a friend who does it far better than I does, and whenever we start a new game where I'm GMing, I'm like, John, can you explain this rule to me so I can make a ruling? Because he's very good at that sort of stuff. The other thing that I think we're talking about traits and stuff like that, the other thing that you can do with this kind of system, you could have 2 tables of, say, 10 traits on each table, and then you roll a d10 on each of those lists, and that gives you your traits. And there's other systems that do stuff like that, and it's a good way to introduce randomness, because I went down the route of like, I chose sly, athletic, and large, which are all kind of positive traits.
Sly,
Sly.
Like if you're doing
espionage,
you've kind of intimated that it's a spy-based game. I'm like, I want my character to be sly as fuck.
They slyly leapt across the room and broke necks.
But you were talking about the OSR before.
Yes, yeah. So
old school Renaissance. That's what.
Yeah, so a lot of OSR games have that. They'll have to just basically it strips it down, it speeds it up. It's also very brutal and fatal, which means you're going to want to be rolling a lot of characters. Now, if you're doing like a session 0 of something like D&D or Pathfinder, that could be up to 2 hours to create your character. You don't want to be doing that if there's a chance your character dies every 20 minutes of gameplay. So the OSR is very much focused on being able to roll up a character quickly, and to that aim, they have a lot of tables where you can literally just... I mean, a lot of them now actually have apps where you will just randomize your stats and, hey, I've got a character, let's go. Here we go. Let's see what this crazy guy is going to do. And I really like that. But I also like people being able to pick the weirdness. So, I mean, games I've made in the past, I've numbered them. And then and even when I play an OSR game, they'll have the 1 to 10, so you can roll a d10. And I'll say, hey, do you want to randomize this, or do you want to pick one you like? And I like that option.
Well, this has been a recurring thing in the Infinite Escape Room, and it's generally whenever we find that we've restricted player agency, it tends not to feel good. So it's like it's giving people as much agency as you can within the confines of the puzzle. Generally, feels
that's how I like a mini game as well. In the creation.
Yeah, and that's how I like to. So when I built these rules, I thought, how much can I strip down the mechanics? So the mechanics are, ultimately I got it down to, do you want to roll these dice, or do you want to add this dice? And can you justify adding this dice? And that's the mechanics.
And there's a risk to adding this dice, which is nice. Yeah. Nice risky dice.
But beyond that, I wanted it to very much be about choice. So like earlier, Anna said she never got to use her postman keys. And I mean, no offense, Anna, but that was entirely on you, because what I didn't give a list of possessions you can pick from a big table that you get in the trad games, where it goes, here's the hundreds of items. You get 3 when you start, and you can buy this many with your starting gold. And no, it's more fun to say, okay, so you've picked, shopkeeper. What would they have on their person? They think, they pick an item, they've now got that item. Now it's up to you as that player to think, how can I use that?
And it does help you lean into your character as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I've got, it's a balloon inflator, but actually it's cast iron. And it's already coated in blood. Like this, it just kind of like it naturally sort of spools off.
You think about how you can use it, and you sell that to me, and I say, yeah, go for it. Let's see it. Rather than games where you have your list of 10 actions your character can do, and you effectively press the button to do that action. And I mean, that's fine if you're doing like tactical combat RPG. I mean, I think video games are created for a reason. Let's remove the maps if you want to do tactical combat, play a war game, play a video game, don't play a role play game. But it's so much more fun to go, oh, you've got a camera. What are you going to do with the camera? Well, I'm going to flash it in their bulbs so they can't see. And then in that second, I'm going to hit them in the face with the telephoto lens that I already described as oversized. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a hefty weapon. Give me a roll. Let's kill that person.
Yeah. She was a fucking monster. She
was an absolute.
It puts it onto the players so that they think, what would my character do? What can my character do? And then they tell me, and I go, yeah, great, let's do it. Yeah. Rather than, here's my 5 options my character currently do. I'm going to do option 2. And I go, roll your dice, you failed. And that's the game. That's not as fun.
So that's the mechanics. I'd like to go into what we, in our like adventure, basically what we fucked up, because I'm looking at because basically there are a couple of bits where Dom whizzed through a couple of pages of text.
I will say that you fucked up nothing, because that is the wrong interpretation of how these games should work.
The bit I would like to know, though. I would like to know what
You mean what I had written?
Yeah. What was unexpected?
Happen?
The here's what we could have won. But before we get that, I just wanted to get everybody's top moment from the it was everybody's little bit that they can look back on and go like, oh, or Jesus.
I was very happy with the reception area fight, with just leaping from side to side, absolutely ruining people. And then the counterpoint to that was the corridor with the gun turrets, where I was just like, we keep getting shot, and I don't want to. Can we make that stop in a way that doesn't involve having to figure out what this puzzle is? I tried to brute force that with my big beefy lady, and it didn't work so well. And
it partially worked. You stopped one of the guns.
I stopped one of the guns, which did slow things down a little.
Stop Jamie getting shot on over and over.
I plugged the holes with bees. It's fine.
The dice were very kind to me in that reception area fight, and I got to do a lot of truly weird, absurd stuff.
Well, Justin.
I think I was very brave. I tried to do a voice for the entire episode.
So your favourite thing was the voice you...
It was one of my favourite things.
No, it wasn't my favourite thing. I'm
a postman.
I'm very proud of myself.
What am I going to be this time?
Hello.
Oh, now I'm kind of Scottish.
No, I think my favourite bit was definitely the reception area fight as well.
That's why I peaked early in my writing.
You're wrong.
I just thought the imagery of that was. I also quite enjoyed stuffing the poor man into the locker and how he kept opening and closing the door. Hold on, we forgot something else. Open the door, close the door.
It reminded me. Did anyone else see the D&D movie?
Yeah.
There's a scene in that where they're resurrecting all the
battle.
I remember watching that in the cinema and being like, this is so much what it's like putting a real RPG where you ask the wrong question and they're like, pie. God, I've got to wake another one up.
So that was a very funny moment for me. And I think I was during the turret fight, I was desperate. I was thinking I was so clever and that I'd gotten it correct.
So actually,
and I'd gotten it so wrong.
So you gave me an answer, and I didn't want to go into how you come up with that, because then I might accidentally help you work out what the actual answer is. But so the answer was wrong.
Yes.
What was your process to get to that?
Oh, I just thought I'd figured out everything, and then there was one bit, the fact that green had to be first, that I just hadn't looked at. I'd written it like sideways, and I was just like, oh shoot, forgot that bit. But no, overall I had fantastic time. Really good.
Yeah, for me, story wise, there was the corridor fight with the captain of the guard, the tenet descriptions of like the bullets going from the wall bouncing off into the gun. That sort of scene description was amazing. Mechanically, I think quite early on, where I think it was you, Tony, a throwaway line that said that my character had a beard made of bees. And that just suddenly became a fundamental part of the way that I played my character. He was then a ranger that could shoot fucking bees out of his face. And then I think within the same breath, or like a minute later, Peg became this sort of gargantuan monstrosity that got progressively larger.
She's just being like a strapping woman.
Something.
And just nether base.
She turned into
a monster.
It's another thing I like about this system is that we're not locked into an alignment, a character, a race, a class. Is that we can tweak at the fundamental levels of the way our characters work and operate. And it's fine, because that's what drives the story and makes it fun and makes it cool. We could discover something like later on, oh, actually, my character's got 2 left feet, and that makes them really good at doing this particular puzzle.
Literally 2 left feet.
Yeah, we could That's fine.
Yeah, and I'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
Unless you're contradicting something you've already established, then yeah. So as soon as you said like, "Oh, can I send a B out?" then it's not a case of me going no. It's a case of me going, "Okay, tell me what they can understand."
Yeah.
So that I can interpret that, because that's so much more fun. The goal is to have fun, and if your character has beard in his beard we can talk to, great. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, and that became a weird thing.
It's
only
man
weird
who
if you
played
make
the
it weird.
depressed clown.
That's incredibly relatable.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the depths he sank
Upsetting.
to, just, I don't think even in terms of his actions, just in terms of his mind behind them.
He was a very concerning individual.
His actual actions were, if anything, pretty ineffective through the entire game.
He was, I think, if anything, he was disturbingly passive, except for his wish to kill every woman he met.
No, if anything, it was not to kill any more women. I mean, not to kill any
Tell
women.
me about the balloon noose.
Yeah. Balloon news.
I mean, that was just a threat. But I mean, for me, like, genuine highlight was after the scene where Tony had basically eaten 3 people. Was when we were kind of like, schmizzing around and went into the break room, and there was a sign. There's like, hang on, I can use my party clown credentials here, and I went, "Oh, happy birthday to you!" And then Tony went something like,
Where was this?
This was when we went to the break room with the assistant
I
scientist.
said I'm the photographer.
Yeah.
I'm the photographer, and then Tony, who was wearing the security,
that's Jamie.
Jamie, who was wearing the security guard uniform, went something like,
I'm a security guard.
I'm such and such
Wait, no,
the
I
name.
think he said, I've got the bees.
Yeah.
That was the
It
reception.
fell apart sooner than
And
you're
then
remembering.
Anna went, "I'm the postman," despite a whole.
Literally, so when
But despite a whole sequence where she'd stripped the
she was
postman.
dressed as a guard, full disguise. The thing was, so I thought I gave you a room full of guard uniforms. I was like, they were going to dress as guards. This is then
we discussed
talk
it
their weird.
definitely wasn't
Instead,
peg.
Anna dressed in the guard uniform that was bloodstained rather than one of the fresh ones, and then everyone else is just like,
I slapped a name
yes,
badge
we'll
on.
just. So when Michael went in, was like, I'm the clown. I was like, okay, let's see where this goes.
I've got to look and I'm
happy
sticking to it.
birthday. He could be a birthday gram. Photographer. All right. I'm ready for the character to react to this. And you're like,
I'm a guard with a bee.
I've got the bees. I was like, okay,
This has gone
probably going to
slightly
be a
off the
bit
rails.
more confused now. And I'm just like dressed as the guard, wearing one of this man's work colleagues stained blood-stained thing with a name badge still on it. Going, I'm the post.
And that just as a sequence for me was just so like
It was a grudge.
I could just see my character, like, his hands in his. Oh,
I said that was one of the hardest parts for me because I'd pre-written this character, how he'd react to different things. And I was like, what the fuck is he going to do confronted with this?
I really thought they have a
Like,
coherent
So he
plan.
pulled his gun. No, we got this.
This is a
If you've got a gun and that happens, you're just like, stay back.
I will admit, I think my character forgot that they were a sleeper agent and just continued to get posted.
Well, I think that was a big part of it, and obviously, I think the briefing said, you're now fully activated and everything's worked. You will be perfect agents with all these memories, all your different skills, and obviously, you only had one skill each, and the only traits you had were from your cover life. So it was obvious that the Illuminati were not great brainwashers in terms of how well that came out. So I think it kind of worked in that way.
It's funny. I finished reading just last night. City of Illusions by Ursula Le Guin.
Oh, I love Ursula Le Guin. I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's part of the Hainish cycle.
So let me write that down because
Yeah.
John has birthdays.
City of Illusions. If you
One a year.
get the there's like it's a novella, so there's 3 of them in the first 3 in the Hainish cycle, and it's the 3rd of them, and that's all about someone waking up and their memories are basically they're a fully grown adult, but their memories are all gone, and trying to figure out what's happened there. And then there's a lot of overlap between that kind of. You've got 2 versions of yourself that overlap, and it's just funny coming in here having just finished that book last night, and this being basically
Nice.
was there you go. You're in esteemed company. Ursula Le Guin is
I'll
best.
take that, definitely.
She's
She's
fantastic.
amazing.
yeah.
So, Dom, what was your highlight, and B, then let's get into the what could we have won.
What was my highlight? I think that all of the puzzles worked.
Yeah.
I solved one of them.
Congratulations.
I attempted all of them.
I find it hard to put puzzles in a role play game normally. I tend to try and make them optional, but because this is the Infinite Escape Room, they can't really be, despite Tony's best efforts to be like, fuck this puzzle, I'm getting out of here.
I would like to rip all the wires out, please.
Likewise, can the bees break the unbreakable glass? It's like, no, solve the goddamn puzzle.
With enough effort, damn it, we can make it happen.
All the puzzles worked, and I feel like it was because I struggled to come up with varied puzzles, and I didn't want anything to feel like a repetition of a previous one. And they all worked, and everybody was on board with them. So I think for me that was the biggest success, because I can run a chaotic roleplay adventure. That's easy. You just run with whatever people come up with. But I knew I had to get you to the next puzzle, so I can't go quite as chaotic as I normally would allow. What was the second question? I've been drinking.
We've all been drinking.
What did we miss? Like, were there things that you...
Okay, well, there was a good thing that you missed.
Oh.
You missed another puzzle that was an optional puzzle. So if at any point there, once you were inside the building, there had been a TPK, total party kill for Michael and anyone else uninitiated.
I have no idea what that is.
Total party kill. Everyone's out.
No, as in like the TPK bit. I now understand based on the context of the TPK.
Or if it had gotten down to there was only one person left and therefore they couldn't give dice to anybody, it's no fun dragging around 2 or 3 unconscious people with you. One, I would have allowed you dragging them around. I thought, yeah, that's funny. You can drag them until you get to the next health station. Like they obviously made the wrong choice. But if it had gotten to the point where there would have been a complete wipeout, which I'll be honest,
we came close.
The machine gun bit was
so much earlier than that. The
the pigeon.
What I expected. So the front door. If you had just tried that door, you would have triggered the alarm. So you would have gotten inside, and the door would have shut, and you would have been jumped by all the guards in the building, which I expected would have TPK'd you. Then you have your first functional time loop, and you're back outside the door. You know there's an alarm now. What do we do instead? You completely skipped that. By going
straight away.
I want to have a look at that plaque. You saw the wire. You saw the buttons. You skipped that whole encounter.
Yeah.
Then you went in and triggered it manually. but you won.
We started blowing smoke
all
everywhere.
Of the guards in the building, and you won.
The
I did
lavender
not
scented
expect to
smoke
happen.
and the violence.
Yeah.
So I expected the
leaping.
guards to curb stomp you if you ever met them all at once. But through good dice, you beat them. And judicious use of your special power, which again, special powers were designed to be slightly OP, because what's the point of special power if it's not OP?
Yeah.
But there is a risk attached to them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got a higher risk than a 6-sided die.
Yeah, because you've got a 50-50 that you're going to lose a health related to it. So particularly early, you could have ended up on the floor.
I came close. Yeah.
And Anna did, I think, didn't
I
you?
did. I pretty much got KO'd right at the beginning. Yeah. That's okay. I was in postman mode.
If you'd been TPK'd while inside the building, you would have been dragged to a holding cell by a guard who would have said, Dr. Tist will see to you through the grate in the door. Dr. Tist will see to you when he's free. Then he would have gone away, and then there was another puzzle to escape the holding cell, and the holding cell was teleportable. So wherever you should have ended up next, that's where you would have escaped into.
Nice.
So you did miss a puzzle. You missed the puzzle to open up the vent to crawl through Die Hard style.
Oh, probably for the best.
I can't remember what the puzzle was. It's on my
Definitely for the best
on the thing. But so I wrote one extra puzzle, but I always figured it might not make it in, because it would only be if you needed it to be in.
We had the human puma to...
Yeah.
I just throw myself around, you know.
I don't know if there's much else you missed.
He said we missed like 3 pages of dialogue from the scientist and like how to work the time gun and all sorts.
Yeah, so there was...
Oh, yeah. Was the time gun, did it just have 3 charges?
It had also had settings, but at no point did anyone examine the gun.
Just point and click, baby.
So
Damn you, bear!
you could slow time, you could freeze time in a very focused area, and you could reverse time. It was already on reverse time. I thought he'd get a chance to use it on you, which was set to reverse time, because it'd been really fun having you try and do your actions, and then
In reverse.
I would have then reversed them and seen what happened.
We just burst in, said a lot of nonsense, and then attacked him.
Yes, he didn't get a chance because
I just started blasting. I think you hypnotized him, and then I went round the back of him. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I got the gun.
Yeah.
That was
And you stuffed him in a locker like straight away.
I think it's all down to splitting the pie. I think that was the,
cut the pie.
yeah. So I think, and then obviously there was a lot of dialogue with the receptionist that you were like, no, what if we just kill everybody? And each of the guards actually had, briefly
Backstory,
sketched, but
children.
they did have their own personalities,
Hobbies.
but all dead.
2 days from retirement.
Because I've played D&D with Dom, and his very minor characters are always the most wonderful. And just I remember there was a stable boy that you made up once, and he literally had 2 lines of dialogue, and I just
Literally,
enjoyed
he
it.
didn't have 2 lines of dialogue. I had to invent him because Anna was like, "Where can I put my pony?"
And then I was just like, "What's your
there's
name?"
stables, and she was like, "Who's there?" And I was like, "Stable boy." And he became a major.
Yeah, we became pen pals.
Aw.
Yeah, that's yes. Inventing characters out of necessity and then them becoming major characters is great fun.
Yeah,
And it
It's
got to the point
hard
where
to do in a single session
Yes, definitely.
format.
But it did get to the point where I had just a big old list of names, because if you invent a character on the fly and then someone goes, "So what's your name?" You're like, "Steve." Now they know you've just been pantsing it. Whereas if you have a list of names, then they go, "Oh, cool! Wow, you even wrote this character in there. Guess I came over here."
If you ever listen to Friends at the Table, which is a deep, hardcore, crunchy, brilliant podcast, but they go hard on narrativism type stuff. Huh?
So you said hard on.
Austin Walker, when he's
I
running
was going to say, where's your fart sound?
Oh, it's all the way over in the other soundboard. Hang on. Oh.
Austin Walker, when he's running it, is very keen to make sure that people know that he's like, okay, I haven't got a character right now. Give me a second. And he'll go off and he'll be like, name generator. This guy's called Laser Ted. And Laser Ted ended up being a major character in Counterweight. But like, it's that kind of, I often lean into that kind of thing of like, when I'm running a game, is like, I haven't come up with something for this, but I'm happy to embrace it. Let's just go with it, rather than saying, but again, that's a thing that you do if you're doing a multi-session narrative story. Whereas when you're doing something like this, where you've kind of got a defined beginning and end.
And I mean, I had
it's different.
I think I had maybe 10 characters, including the pigeon, and 4 of those were literally purposefully given the most names I could come up with about them being generic and nobody's, because I didn't want you to start trying to have a conversation with them expecting depth there.
So Anna, you had a...
Yes, I have an important question. So there was a point during the podcast recording that you mentioned that the chicken noises would be important. And at no point did we ever encounter a chicken.
I didn't say they would be important.
And I was excited about the chickens. I thought, the chickens are going to come in at this point. Oh, he's going to be using, the machine's going to be chicken powered.
So Michael said that he could manage around 20, I think it was 20.
2024.
He said he could manage around 20 sounds. Mm-hmm. So I listed off all of the ones that I wanted without giving him any context as to why. Like sci-fi door opening, sci-fi door closing, laser sound, gunshot sound, sneaky music, boss music.
I missed the sneaky music.
No, that's Mr. Clown walking home after he's lost his memory again. Was that boss music?
I think this is the Castlevania music.
I like this.
Yeah.
I don't remember Castlevania being so techno.
Ooh. That was the boss music we had.
Nice.
Okay. Anyways, so I gave him a shopping list of the sound effects and music I wanted, with suggestions of the sort of thing. So for one of them, I said something like the Final Fantasy Victory fanfare, and he was just like, the Final Fantasy Victory, great. There's no way anybody owns the rights to that. Let's just use it.
Hey, it's a classic. Come get me, Squaresoft.
And basically, it came to like, I still had 2 slots to go. So I said, chicken sound and fart sound, just in case.
To be fair, they both got used a lot.
Yeah.
Narratively appropriately.
The problem is I had 2 chicken sounds because I couldn't decide which one to have. But they were next to different buttons, so I'd kind of keep ham-fistedly pressing different ones. Just looking at conscious of the time, and we are going to an actual pub in a bit.
It is.
I guess last quickly on the RPG. Where can people, if they would like to try the system, find it?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Go fuck yourself, old man.
Yeah, it's about 2 paragraphs of notes. There's a reason I didn't give you handouts. I've just written it out so I remember it. I might write it up into a system at some point, at which point it will find its way to Drive Through RPG. But at the moment, it is just 2 paragraphs in a Google Doc.
Yeah, well, he could let you know and send you the link.
Or you could just listen to the podcast and write it out. The rules are very simple.
I wrote down the rules of the game on about 7 lines at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was enough for me to get going with.
Run your own games, record them, and then send them to us.
I will publish them and take all of the revenue.
Yeah, correct. Wizards of the Coast.
We'll send the Pinkertons to you.
I can't believe that was a real thing. Oh,
Absolutely ludicrous.
Okay, so just to tail us off, in a non-RPG sense, can I get everybody's media of the week? What is your media recommendation of the week?
This is a bit of a weird niche one, but
of course.
So there's a group of speedrunners who are playing Elden Ring speedruns. They're doing randomizer bingo. So they basically have a bingo table of randomized things like kill this many NPCs or kill this boss with this weapon specifically. And then there's 2 players sent out with the randomized weapons and armor, and they race against each other to try and win that bingo. It's a mass tournament with lots of speedrunners. You can find it on YouTube or Twitch. Just type in bingo brawlers. And I've been watching that. It's like sports for people who are into video games instead of sports.
Nice.
Love it.
If anybody really likes Stardew Valley and wants to play something like Stardew Valley, but involving embalming bodies and maintaining a graveyard, then Graveyard Keeper is a very shout. I've been playing it lately.
I think there's necromancy involved.
Yeah, there's necromancy involved.
So if you like enslaving the dead,
unfortunately,
and time travel.
Yes, there's time travel.
There's a lot to this game.
It's fun.
You sound haunted.
Anna, I feel like you started with a lot of momentum on this.
And then just
and then Dom was like, don't forget about the slave corpse.
Sorry?
And dungeon crawling.
There's
so much to this game.
Yeah. It is a fun little game. Yeah, so it scratches that, that Stardew Valley itch with also the need to package up human flesh and sell it back to the people.
Nice.
That's good. I've been currently watching through season 3 of Only Murders in the Building, which is a phenomenal show.
The Steve Martin short one.
Selena Gomez. So I've watched the first 2 series of that previously, but my wife didn't get around to them. So we've just started season 2 together.
Oh, and nice.
So good. Martin Short is so funny.
He's great.
Have you seen his spit take?
No. Someone wrote like an op-ed recently to try to say that Martin Short wasn't funny. And I don't know who the writers, they got pile drived by everybody online. Yeah. Are you blind, deaf, and stupid?
Yeah.
Like, there's clearly a running bank of evidence stretching back several decades to show this man is hilarious.
And he's still funny.
Yeah. And him and Steve Martin together. And Selena Gomez as well. The 3 of them work really well together. And it's a wonderful murder mystery, all 3 seasons. Really funny. And it's actually quite a tight puzzle show to solve as well.
I think it's pretty fun.
I guess that series of Ursula Le Guin books that I've just finished. So there's a string of sci-fi novels she wrote called The Hainish Cycle, and I've just finished reading the first 3 of them that come packaged together as I can't remember what the trilogy is called, but it's Rocannon's World, Planet of Exile, City of Delusion, and then it's followed by Left Hand of Darkness, which is one of the most
famous,
important, acclaimed works of sort of speculative sci-fi and exploring ideas of gender in sci-fi and stuff like that. They are excellent books. She's a phenomenal writer. Absolutely worth your time.
I'm going to go super basic and go Baldur's Gate 3. Fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Finished it. Loved it. Amazing. Already thinking of other games. Tried to play Starfield and bouncing off it hard at the moment because it's not Baldur's Gate 3.
No.
And it's upsetting me because I was quite looking forward to playing Starfield, but it's not Baldur's Gate 3.
Go do a new run with different characters.
Yeah, I might. I've just finished all of Armored Core 6 as well, which has been
You're going to do the evil choices now, right? That's what you do with the
Yeah, no, I'm going to do Evil Mike.
I'm going to do everything.
Can I see a screenshot of Evil Mike?
Put it in the show notes.
You don't need to. He's sat right there.
Evil Clan Strumlington. Hello.
Clan Strumlington was evil. He was a sex pest. He was
Clam Strongson is not going to come out well in the modern era.
No.
You created him in the modern era, right?
Yeah, I know.
You're talking 2 years ago.
There's going to be like a dispatches about Clam Strongson.
Oh, dear.
Okay, cool. I think that's everybody's recommendation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Dom, thanks so much for running our RPG session. I've had a good
Very
time.
welcome. Thank you for playing it. That's when it comes alive.
So we will probably will go to the loo now because I know you guys.
Yep, I'm busting. Yep.
So we love you lots. We're actually going to a real pub now without a microphone. Weird.
We can take it with us.
Yeah.
I have actually got a handy mic. I can
Go
actually
for it.
I'll bring the handy mic with me. And we'll see you next time on the Infinite Escape Room. We love you lots. That's bye now.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bees.